factory, they had a very small turbocharger, no intercooler, so when the turbo gets hot... Hey, this is Mad Matt, Budget Boostin'. I just got this new engine put in this Buick, and today I'm going to talk to you about just some important things before you start your engine the first time and what you want to do with a nice new installed engine, new or completely remanufactured. Because something important to know is when you first run your engine for the first 800 to 1,000 miles, you want to break it in and run all the parts in, the new rings, the new cam lobes, everything, the new lifters, everything's got to be run into each other. But it's got to be done right, because if you break it in correctly at decent RPMs, fairly low at first, and give it some, up and down, nice and easy, nothing with a lot of boost. Like on this one, I'll have to turn the boost controller down because the boost will be a lot of pressure on brand new rings. So you just want them to run in with the bores, everything to run in correctly. Because properly braking an engine will ensure the maximum power you get out of your engine. So that's the biggest reason to do it, for power and longevity of your engine. And another important thing is choosing the right break-in oil. Because a lot of people don't know, you want a non-detergent 30-weight oil to break in your engine. Because all those detergents, they act upon the engine for friction. You don't want too much friction, and you don't want too little friction, because too little friction you won't be able to run in the parts and break them in. That's the reason for a non-detergent 30-weight oil. Because there'll be just enough friction to break in the engine, but not too slippery to not allow it to break in. So you can use any brand of oil, conventional, non-detergent 30-weight, or if you find other grades of oil that are applicable to your engine, because this engine from the factory runs 30-weight. Once I have the engine broken correctly, I'm going to run a racing 20W 50-weight oil. Even though the factory says run 1030, I'm racing the engine, I'm going to run 2050. And most likely synthetic. Once I've broken in at least a couple thousand miles, then I'll switch to synthetic. But at least for the first 800 to 1,000 miles, you want to go non-detergent 30-weight, or whatever viscosity you recommend in your engine, or it's recommended. Non-detergent conventional oil. Doing this ensures a proper break-in and the most power for your new engine. And everything to be running correctly. And now once you've done your 800 or 1,000 mile break-in, immediately change the oil and go to a regular conventional engine oil. It can be a detergent oil after your initial break-in, because you will have gotten rid of a lot of your wear metals from draining this original oil, this oil here, draining it out after your first break-in of 800 to 1,000. Get all those wear metals out, and then a nice fresh conventional oil for at least a couple more thousand miles to get your engine running correctly. And once it's run in and all the parts are worn into each other nice and good, then you can switch to synthetic and then keep it that way. That's the most recommended method. Alright, and another important thing when you're breaking in a new engine, make sure you have oil in the system, coolant in the system, because when you first start up, you're going to just turn the engine over to get oil pressure throughout all your engine parts. You're not going to immediately fire the engine over, because that might be too many RPMs for an engine to be starved of oil. What I did was, when I was putting all my parts on my engine, I was pouring oil all over the crank, all over the push rods, all over the lifters, to pre-fill everything, all over my rocker arms, to pre-lubricate my entire engine with this oil. And then another good thing is to just crank the engine over for about 20-30 seconds, a few 20-30 second bursts, to get all the oil circulating through the engine before it actually fires. Because once you start the engine, it's going to introduce heat. And a lot of, 1,000 RPMs, 800 RPMs is too many for a dry engine. So, very important to just crank the engine over without starting it to allow oil to circulate through your whole engine. Do that a few 20 to 30 second intervals, then hook your ignition wires up and everything and start your engine and idle it for about, a few minutes. Turn it off. Do it again. Check your oil. Make sure you're getting good pressure and everything. In this engine, I'm going to know fairly fast if I have good oil pressure, because I have oil feeding my turbocharger. And I'm also going to be leak checking here and at the return line. looking for any oil leaks, any coolant leaks, any kind of leaks whatsoever for the first few minutes of engine operation. So there's just some important things to remember when breaking in a new engine. And a lot of manufacturers also recommend when you have your engine still on the stand, you have all your oil pan and manifold and enough things installed to hold your oil, you get in with an extension and prime your oil pump. Spin it with a little electric drill and prime your oil pump so it kind of gets your oil pump pumping oil through the system. That's another way to do it, but if you don't have that capability or your oil pump drive is too difficult to get to, that's why I don't hook up my ignition system and turn the engine over a few sets of 20, a few sets of 30 to get the oil going through the engine before you actually get power on it and get the engine running and get heat and everything else introduced, because you don't know how long that engine is going to be dry before the oil pump circulates oil through the entire engine. Okay, so we got some nice simple concepts to remember. Breaking in a new engine, just some tips to help you get the most success out of your engine break-in process. I'm Mad Matt from Budget Boosting. Thank you for watching. If you like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube. And again, check out our website, budgetboosting.com, and see all our videos. Because every little bit helps. Because knowledge is power. It's horsepower. And here's what it looks like inside. Performance chip. Alright, now we're going to carefully set this down. There shouldn't be any discharge problems on this piece of paper, so I'm going to set it down right here for now. And get ready for my new chip.